TSN brings you coverage of the 1994 Export A Hydroplane Racing Series, sanctioned by the Canadian Boating Federation and brought to you by Export A Incorporated, Stanley Proto, and iTech, Lotto Super 7, and Toyota Industrial Equipment. And we're back in Gatineau, Quebec for the 8th boat final in the Grand Prix class. Jean Theoret has the inside. Beside him is Claude Bergeron and Max Seafoods. Third place is the Export A boat. I think that's Fred Rote on the outside.
Yeah, and Todd Roche was sneaking up the inside.
And they have a great start. They're all clean, and Jean Theoret has the lead, sticking to the inside track. Rounds the first turn on the outside. Export A is pushing. You can see the rooster tails side by side. Jean Theoret has the lead.
Well, once again, he's gotten out in front, but somebody's backing his rooster tail. I'm not sure whether it's Claude Bergeron or it might be Francois Cardinal.
We have 3 of the Auld boats, Jamie. These are the boats that you build out there, and they're all in the lead positions.
Well, I just hope it stays that way, but it looks like Jean's got a commanding lead at the moment. Well, maybe.
Whoa, something has happened. Somebody's down. Jean continues to lead the race. There's a yellow flag on the course. That means he should slow down if he sees anything that's obviously out of place, but he can continue to lead and keep his foot down on the floor.
Now, it looks like a pretty good race between Francois and Claude Bergeron. It's hard to see through that spray, but again, Jean still got the lead and blasting down the back straightaway.
And Jean is picking up the pace a little bit.
Well, he's normally got straightaway speed on all the other boats. We'll see if he can use it to his advantage throughout the whole heat.
The yellow flag was being shown there. He'll be alerted to something on the course, probably another boat that's broken down. We can't see that from our monitors right now. Jean Theoret, oh, and take a look at that. The Export A boat driven by Francois Cardinal is pushing him.
And we got Claude Bergeron partially hidden back in the spray, but he's very close too. I think he's in striking distance.
Take a look at the gap. It's narrowed down to less than a fraction of a second here.
Well, it looks as though they pulled away from Claude now, and he's going to be back in the crummy water. He'll have a tough time gaining on him.
Francois Cardinal would love to win this race.
Well, he's the new kid on the block, and it'd certainly add to his prestige if he can take on Jean in this final.
Jean has been running very successfully, though, this year in the season openers before the Export A season start. Oh, there goes Cardinal, and he is loose. He hung it all out to get by Jean Theoret, and he's outside. He's coming around that corner, and he is very, very loose, Jamie.
Well, he's traveling a much bigger arc, and he's got to go a higher speed to keep up with Jean in that position, and it shows.
And they're side by side going down the front stretch. Francois Cardinal is in the lead. Jean Theoret on the inside.
Well, Francois did an amazing job, you know, because he hasn't had much experience with the wings, and he's got to use them to keep that boat on the straightaway.
Take a look at that. They are just inches apart as they go around the course. Jean Theoret on the inside. Francois Cardinal pushing. Has only a couple more corners to go.
Well, Jean seems to be gaining at the end of the straightaway, but Francois does not lift on the throttle entering the corner. Boy,
Francois is pushing it.
He's right on the verge there. He's pulled the skid fin a couple of times here. This is going to be something else.
Jean Theoret obviously has a lot more experience out there. He's a veteran in this class now. Francois is coming. Oh, no. Take a look at that. Francois is down. Oh, Jean Theoret takes the win. Francois Cardinal very disappointed. Jean Theoret wins in the Lotto Super 7 boat, followed by Claude Bergeron and Todd Roche. This year's season Grand Prix is being dubbed a war on the water, and I'm sure that every team out there is preparing for one of the biggest battles of all here in Valleyfield. And take a look at the crowds, Jamie.
Well, this place always packs them in.
And the course is looking well today. I mean, the water is relatively calm.
Well, the conditions are pretty good. Again, this is such a tight course, though. There's always a chance for catastrophe in that first corner or in the second corner.
And here we are in Heat A of the Grand Prix class, and we have Pierre Lavigne out there, Jean Theoret. Jean Theoret is just smoking it down the inside of that course.
He's running well, and Pierre Lavigne's really fast down that straightaway and around the first turn. That's impressive. That's a big
Not
change.
much boat on the water there, Jamie.
Jean's inside lane there certainly gave him the advantage. I mean, he's up the inside. I see Pierre in the rooster tail, though, and he's got tremendous top speed.
Yeah, Pierre is a very fast driver. Of course, the horsepower coming out of Pierre's boat probably exceeds that in Jean's.
Wow, he was really cooking up the straightaway. The trick is now, though, he's got to get it around the corner with that extra speed he carried into the corner.
Take a look at the G-force he's loading on himself in that corner. Oh, look at that. He drives right through the rooster tail of Jean Theoret.
You know, Mark, I think that's a problem. Pierre has hydraulic steering in that boat, and the steering's a little bit slower, and I think he just didn't have time to turn the wheel out.
Well, he turned the wheel. Obviously, it doesn't react quite as quickly as it should.
No, the steering's much slower.
Jean Theoret just burning up the track right now on the inside, stretching out his lead.
Well, Pierre's not letting up. There he is in the rooster tail with that straightaway speed. He may even catch him at the end of this straightaway.
Jean Theoret certainly gets the boat down flat. He lays it down and he runs.
Well, here comes Pierre again, but again, he's going into that corner with a ton of speed. I don't know whether he's going to be awfully wide coming out of that one, I would imagine.
Side by side, this is not a final race. This is a qualifier. Jean Theoret takes a tight turn.
Well, Jean did well. I mean, that course is pretty rough on the inside. The rollers left by the other boats make it difficult to make a tight turn.
You know, I used to watch these hydroplanes go down the straightaways, come up to the turn, crank the wheel, and keep on sliding out. Not anymore.
No, they turn much better now. They have a larger skid fin, lower center of gravity. And look at him book around that corner. That is impressive.
Is he fighting? Whoa! Somebody went up on their side there. That looked like Jean. That was Jean Theoret.
He had to
went
pedal
way
a little
up.
bit. It looks like Pierre maybe, again, Pierre's passed him at the end of the straightaway. Tremendous top speed on Pierre's boat.
Jean has to be careful here. I mean, he doesn't want to give him too much room.
That tight corner at Valleyfield's a risky proposition. You run the chance of hooking the boat on those wakes on the inside. He made it through again, though.
You can see the swells developing. Those boats move a lot of water.
Yeah, and you can see them, both of them are fighting tooth and nail. They've got the boats aired out on the straightaways. They're flying them with the canard wings in the front now.
Fabulous race. That's a great overhead shot there. The aerials, that really is the only true way you can see what's happening out there. And you can see the space difference, you know, it's quite large from the air.
Much bigger arc that Pierre's traveling, and he loses a lot of time. But again, here he comes with that charge down the straightaway.
Basically, when the boat was going through the corner, it looks like it pivots on the front sponsons. The back of the tail just kind of slides around and follows the sponsons.
Yeah, they really yaw around the corners at about 35 degrees.
Jean Theoret coming up for the checkered flag. He takes the win.
Well, Pierre certainly gave him a run for his money.
Great race. Jean Theoret wins the second heat of the day in Valleyfield. That'll give him an edge going into the final today, no doubt. Our cameraman in the helicopter is having a great view of the race. The final boats always have to cross the finish line. Once again, you can see this huge Valleyfield course. Jean Theoret takes the win in Lotto Super 7, followed by Pierre Lavigne driving the Ashland-sponsored boat. Brian O'Connor takes third in the Gator, and fourth place goes to Réjean Blanchette. You know, Jamie, Claude Bergeron has made some changes to his boat so that he will be more competitive today.
Yeah, I think we'll see him run a pretty fast heat here. He's going to have a tough time against Francois Cardinal, though. He's always going to be fast here at Valleyfield.
Cardinal wants to win here. This is his hometown, basically. He wants to win in Valleyfield. And here we go. Export A on the inside. Second place, Claude Bergeron on the outside, Fred Rodo.
We've got Charlie Benson sneaking up the far outside.
Fred Rodo has been progressively getting faster.
Well, he's got the boat that he's driving now is a previous winner here at Valleyfield, and it's reasonably competitive.
Good start. All three boats across the starting line in order. 1, 2, 3. Oh, and Export A is getting real loose. Claude Bergeron pulls into the lead. Oh, not for long.
I think both those boys had the flaps down going down the straightaway. They almost touch exiting the corner.
They are moving fast, and a great onboard shot from Francois Cardinal's boat as he goes down the most dangerous stretch of this water.
Once again, this is almost like a repetition of the last heat. Bergeron's got the straightaway speed, much the way Lavigne did in the last heat.
You know, they're bouncing around quite a bit out there. Once again, that water gets very lumpy in that turn.
Well, great turn by Cardinal. He seems to gain a little bit on that tight corner.
Francois Cardinal has the boat to beat. Another onboard shot. You can see the water pellets basically just clearing from his visor.
You get a little bit of an idea of the boat rocking side to side, too, from that in-boat shot.
Wow, does he hang it around the outside. See the way that boat just arches over on its right, or the starboard sponson, and then just hooks in and continues around the course.
Both of these boats are almost identical design. If possibly a little change in gear ratios between the two. I'm not sure what Claude's running in his, but again, he has the straightaway speed.
And what is that straightaway speed here today, Jamie?
Well, I think they're probably at the end of the back straightaway touching 150, maybe 155 miles an hour.
You see the Rooster Tails coming up, and they are flat-footing it around that course right now. They are not backing off. Francois on the inside sees exactly where Claude Bergeron is positioned, wants to stay out front.
Well, once again, we're seeing at Valleyfield, in this course, the inside...
Look at the G-force on that wheel.
Wow, what a turn. But the inside lane is really critical to a good performance here at Valleyfield. It looks as though Francois has pulled out a fairly significant lead. I don't think Claude's going to catch him at the end of the straightaway as he did before.
These drivers get points and money, of course, for finishing first in a qualifying race.
You know, the load that he's taking in that corner is so substantial that you start to lose your vision as you exit the corner. I mean, it's a pretty brutal ride.
Hope they continue to get it back, though, as they go down the stretch. They certainly want to see the checkered flag.
Well, Bergeron moved to the inside there, but it's a little bit too late for him.
Francois goes in front of the cameras here, followed by Claude Bergeron. Once again, goes violently through that turn.
He's not wasting any time in that turn. He's not letting up at all. I suspect he wants to get a good time so that he's seated for the final.
This shot is deceiving. It looks like there's a lot of space, but really it's about 3 seconds.
Well, and also if you look over to your right in this shot, you'll see how close the shoreline and docks are.
The onboard shot also made it very obvious that the sun is starting to reflect off the water, and that's dangerous for these drivers.
Yeah, it makes it tough to see in these boats with all the spray in the air.
Francois Cardinal takes the checkered flag, wins Heat B, in commanding fashion, may I add, but Bergeron was there.
Well, these pair dominated this heat.
Fred Rodo gave it his all. Francois Cardinal continues around the course on his way to his first win of the day. Claude Bergeron falls in the Max Seafood boat. Fred Rodo in third, and Charlie Benson finishes in Bad Boy. Well, Jamie, Claude Bergeron had a great first heat of the day.
Well, he was certainly quick in his elimination heat. He's going to be a challenger certainly in the final, depending on his starting position.
And Jean Theoret, he is doing super this weekend, and I mean, he is really running strong.
He seems to have the perfect setup. He's doing an excellent job driving. He'll be really tough to beat.
Guy Verdun, there's a man we've seen many years ago, of course, winning championships on the flat bottom circuit.
Yeah, he's going to be a bit of a dark horse in this final, but he seems to be getting his act together this weekend.
Coming up to the Grand Prix final, Jean Theoret on the inside, Pierre Lavigne.
Well, we got Claude Bergeron looks to have the second lane. Pierre Lavigne's dropping back. Guy Verdun's up a little bit early.
These guys are way early. Jean Theoret on the inside seems to have the best time.
Oh, looks like Bergeron was right on the money. He may have jumped. I don't know.
And Jean Theoret takes off to a great lead right off the bat.
Again, he's got that phenomenal straightaway speed.
Guy Verdun in third place is pushing Claude Bergeron. Jean Theoret rounds the mark. Francois Cardinal is not in this race, and here's why. Jean Theoret literally gives him no room at all. He goes through the rooster tail, and he's out of control. He's on the inside of the course right now.
He's out of control and out of vision, and
take a look at that. The crew members dive over the rescue boat. They're out of there.
Fortunately, nobody was injured in that deal.
Unbelievable.
Well, Jean Theoret's running, well, not running away. Claude Bergeron's giving him a good run, but they've pulled away from the rest of the pack.
Jean Theoret on the inside. Once again, he is moving out.
Well, again, he seems to have the straightaway speed this time. He seems to be pulling away a little bit down the straightaway.
Bergeron's quick. Guy Verdun is quick as well.
These guys have got to be very careful through this tight corner. There's a good chance you can spin the boat out there.
Jean Theoret has basically had a picture-perfect day. He's basically walked away with every qualifying race he's run.
Well, he's doing a great job driving the boat. I mean, he's got things set properly with the canard wings. He's got far more experience than the other drivers in this heat. He's got a perfect setup.
There's something to say about having that clean water. You know, that clean water is also pretty lumpy out there, Jamie, but it's a lot better than having to run through the rooster tail, you know, and all that water that comes off there. It's just like a fire hose hitting them in the face.
Well, he's got an advantage. Certainly, he's got better visibility, and that helps. And, you know, for the moment, he has a clear track in front of him.
Those canopies have to help these drivers significantly now.
Big difference. I mean, otherwise, you'd have the visor torn off your helmet if you tried to go through a rooster tail. It's a pretty uncomfortable feeling, but he seems to be dominating again.
There he goes, a commanding lead, and he keeps building it up. But if he falters, Claude Bergeron's there.
Well, Claude's within striking distance, but he's going to have a tough time catching up here. I think Jean seems to be capable of floating the boat down the straightaway. He's having to pound it through the corners as everyone is, but he's running it nice and light down the straightaway, which gives him a little bit of speed advantage.
The Super 7 boat, it's a lucky boat today for him.
That's right. We see Pierre Lavigne back there in third place making a valiant struggle, but he's never going to catch these two.
Pierre has been running strong. He needs a bigger sponsor. He has Ashland on his boat, but he wants a bigger sponsor as well.
Well, everybody can always use more money. It looked like Claude made a little time exiting that corner, but he may have dropped back again on the straightaway.
Jean Theoret checks his mirrors, makes sure that nobody's around him. Great shot from our helicopter right now.
Well, the other guys are struggling along behind, but they're a long way back. No chance.
There he goes. He takes the checkered flag. He wins here in Valleyfield. A picture-perfect day for Jean Theoret and the Super 17.
Well, Claude took a run at him at the end, but it was too late.
Jean Theoret wins it all in the Lotto Super 7 boat here in Valleyfield, followed by Claude Bergeron, Pierre Lavigne, and Jimmy King driving the Castrol entry. Congratulations, Jean. It doesn't get any better than this. You had perfect time trials, qualifying heats you won, and ultimately you won the final.
Yes, we had a perfect weekend. It's incredible. I want to thank God because all the glory goes to him. My crew has worked hard all weekend. The mechanic has stayed together. My sponsor is fantastic, Lotto Quebec and all that. It's fantastic winning in Valleyfield. It's indescribable.
Well, it certainly is, since you came from Valleyfield yourself, but you had fantastic starts this weekend. You were second going into the first turn, and you came out first in the first final race. Of course, Export A spun. That created some problems for you. Did you have to think about what you're going to do again? Does that put you off your game plan?
No, well, it was disappointing, that we had to restart the race since I was ahead. But I'm glad Francois was okay. Security is most important, and we took the restart, and we had a fantastic start. I had the inside lane, and everything went well.
Claude Bergeron was pushing you at the very end, the final lap. He came up very tight, and pushed you right until the final lap.
Yes, I couldn't see Claude in my mirror because my mirror had turned, but I knew Claude was going to be close, and I'm glad that Claude finished second.
Once again, congratulations to Jean Theoret, who wins the crown jewel in boat racing, the Valleyfield Regatta. And the Grand Prix boats are lining up for the start of Heat D.
And it looks like we've got the Super 7 boat, then the Export A, Brian O'Connor, Fred Roto, and way on the outside is Pierre Lavigne.
Brian O'Connor looks pretty promising this weekend.
Well, he's in a good position now for the start. He's making a great start. He and Fred Roto are going to lead him over the line.
Jean Theoret's way back, but he's got the inside track.
Boy, Pierre Lavigne went really blasting up the outside, but he's got a lot of time to make up.
This is a tough course to negotiate, Jamie.
Wow, Lavigne did it from the outside. He looks to have the lead at the moment.
And this heat, these boats are basically flying out there. The water's relatively calm right now. It can get rough here in Ville-Marie, but it is a record-setting course.
It's a fast course. Brian O'Connor made up some lost time, and it looks like he's right up there chasing Jean around that corner. Well, there goes Lavigne on the outside.
Interestingly, how Jean Theoret was back on the start. He's back in the front.
Whoa, almost a collision there between Pierre Lavigne and Brian O'Connor. That could have been another hydraulic steering problem on Lavigne's boat.
Lavigne is having some problems with that steering this year. He just seems to float, basically towards the inside of the course.
That little faux pas between the two seemed to give Jean a little bit more of a lead. Brian stretched it out again over Pierre.
Just the way he likes it.
Jean looks to be stretching out another lead on this heat again. He's looking real good around the corner. A little lump there at the entrance to the corner, but good speed through the turn.
The sky has actually got kind of dark right now. They are expecting some rain to come in.
Well, Brian's making a pretty good challenge. Pierre's coming back again, but look on the inside. There's the Export A moving up.
Oh, he's really flying, and of course Pierre Lavigne's way to the outside, basically side by side with the Export A, but way off the pace.
Well, these guys are really going to have their work cut out to catch up to Jean. Unless some kind of mechanical problem slows them down, they're going to have a tough time. Now, it looks like Francois may be able to catch up to Brian. He's making time on the inside. He's got an inside lane on Brian.
The gator has definitely... Oh, Jean is really... Oh, he hooked there pretty violently.
He hooked there and lost some speed, but it almost looks, the boat looks a little lethargic coming out of the corner. I don't know what.
I wonder if he has a power problem.
I think he may have. That when the power goes away in these boats, the front ends tend to drop, and then you're susceptible to hooking the boat.
Somebody else that seems to have a power problem right now is Francois Cardinal in the Export A boat. He's not moving that fast.
No, he was making a strong challenge on Brian, but something's gone wrong.
And there
with that
goes the
boat.
Gator, and he's past Jean Theoret for the lead.
Yeah, I'd say Jean's definitely got a problem because we've never seen Brian go by him on the straightaway.
The Gator is way out front right now. Jean is definitely dropping back. He appears to have just dropped right off the pace.
Yeah, I think he's gone dead in the water. It looks like Brian's going to win this one.
And the Gator seems to stretch out his lead as he goes around the corner. Of course, he's had 2 bad crashes this year. One in Gatineau that basically set him back and put him out of contention at Valleyfield.
Yeah, he's made a good recovery, and I think, you know, this time he benefited from other people's failures in this heat.
Francois Cardinal keeps his foot down on the accelerator of the Export A boat. There's Jean Theoret in the Super 7 boat, dead in the water. Francois Cardinal follows in second, and Fred Rodo, driving Medical Profiles, drove a great race, finishes in third. And we're coming up to the Grand Prix final race of the day. And we have some interesting things happening on the course right now. We don't have Jean Theoret. The absence of Jean, because of a technical problem that put him out yesterday, opens it wide open to the rest of the pack.
Looks like Tommy Baker was off to a pretty good start on the inside. There's so much spray, I can't see anything now, Mark.
Yeah, there's a lot going on out there. I'm not sure what happened. Francois Cardinal takes the lead early in the race, stretching it out, going down the back. And we can see on board with Francois what the water's like right now, and he's going across it. He's very close to it, I'll tell you.
Boy, that's a bumpy ride. At that speed, you can see the boat rocking from side to side as it hooks up on the skid fin. Looks like Tommy Baker on the inside trying to make some time on him, but I don't think Tommy's going to be able to
I'm trying to see where Pierre Lavigne is. Pierre got lost in all that spray earlier. I'm not sure what happened, but the start was very, very difficult.
Well, there goes Gaetan Latour and Brian O'Connor, but they're quite a ways back. It looked like Francois got a substantial lead, and he's still stretching it out, I see, over Tom Baker.
Has anybody seen Lavigne?
I don't know what happened to Pierre. After that phenomenal qualifying speed he had, we would have expected to see him up at the front, but he's certainly nowhere in sight at the moment.
And that qualifying speed gave him a speed of 121.294 miles an hour. That's the fastest recorded speed in Grand Prix history for a one lap on a 1.25 mile course.
You know, you can really see in this in-boat shot the wakes of the previous boats that went around.
Francois Cardinal continues to fly down the course, and there's a summit boat driven by Mr. Baker.
Well, Tommy's giving chase. It's amazing how rough the water has gotten since these boats have come out to start the heat, and that's just waves that have been developed by the boats themselves.
There's Gaetan Latour. Oh, there, I think I see, yes, it was Pierre Lavigne. Somehow he's back on track again.
Well, I think Pierre got washed down in that start, so we'll have to see if there are any disqualifications for chopping on that first turn.
And there usually are. Once again, these drivers are not allowed to change the lane during the race.
Here we see Francois catching up to one of the slower boats. He's about to lap, that's Régent Blanchette he's pulling by right now.
Francois leads, followed closely by Brian O'Connor, really, in the Gator. Gaetan Latour in third place, Pierre Lavigne in fourth right now, Régent Blanchette, you know, in fifth. And there comes Gaetan. Look at Gaetan pulling up. Yeah,
Gaetan is giving Brian O'Connor a run for his money. I'm surprised, really. I don't think Gaetan has the horsepower that Brian does, but he's doing a good job in the boat.
Gaetan is a charger. Whether he's in 5-liter Grand Prix, it doesn't matter what he races. He's going to really push. He doesn't want to come in second.
Just looking at the times here, I don't think Francois is going to be able to set a record in here. I just think part of the problem is there's so many boats running. It's torn up the course and made the conditions just too rough to run a record pace here.
In qualifying yesterday, Baker was running pretty hot, but he only ran about 107 miles an hour in the heat. So, you know, even though Lavigne could stretch it to 121 miles an hour on a qualifying lap, you know, in actual heat racing, you can't run that fast. But Francois has run very fast, and here we see the Gator crossing the finishing line in first place. Now, this is interesting. Though the leaderboard indicates that Brian O'Connor won the race, a penalty assessed to Cardinal for chopping in the first turn has been reversed, and the Export A boat ends up winning for a second time this season. This is interesting, Jamie.
Well, it certainly is, Mark. This is the first time I've seen them reverse a judge's decision in a long time. And you know, this also explains why we didn't see Pierre Lavigne, who had the fastest qualifying time, and we expected to be a top competitor. He disappeared in the final.
Well, basically, he got squeezed between Cardinal and Tommy Baker, and that put him off course. He was running right at the spectators for a while.
He's got to be bitterly disappointed.
Well, he certainly will. Ray Dashnaw, the referee, I think, made the right decision, though. He looked at the footage, of course. He reviewed the situation. Francois Cardinal did deserve the win, ultimately, in the end, and it was fair. To the victor go the spoils. Once again, joining us in our broadcast booth is Jamie Auld. Jamie, it's a great day for racing, a great day for swimming out there. One guy that doesn't intend to get it wet today will be Pierre Lavigne.
Well, Pierre was certainly the fastest qualifier at Ville Marie, and we'll see how he does here. He had his technical problems at Ville Marie.
He still holds the fastest lap in Grand Prix history, but Jean Theoret definitely wants to take that away this weekend.
I think Jean's going to be the man to beat this weekend. I mean, he's showing that real strength through the whole season. I don't expect any difference this weekend.
Jean is certainly a competitor as they line up for a qualifying race before the final race of Grand Prix today.
Well, it'll be interesting to see. This is surprising. Jean's starting on the outside. That's rare for him.
Now, this course is shaped somewhat like a banana, so they kind of enter this course very wide, then funnel back up the course and turn the buoys as normal.
Boy, that outside start didn't seem to make any difference there, Mark. He just blew away from them going to the clock. I don't know what happened to everybody else.
It's unbelievable what he can do, you know, whether he's on the inside, on the outside, somehow he manages to get to that first turn in first place.
The other guys must have been asleep or something. I don't understand that one at all. Brian O'Connor's moved into second place now.
And he's moving fast, incidentally. He is really pushing. He's pushing down that pedal.
Well, again, for some reason, Pierre Lavigne's faded early in the race. It doesn't appear to me as though he's going to be competitive in this heat.
Jean Blanchette and Mike Weber still giving chase out there, Jamie?
Well, they're barely giving chase. I think they're suffering from saltwater problems already in this heat.
That really slows these motors down. I guess the intake just ingests all the salt water spray, and that obviously affects the motor.
Well, they've had problems with surprising things like salt buildup on the electrodes of the spark plug.
Whoa, there goes Brian O'Connor's back howling.
Well, we'll have to see if that tore any of the ignition system off. Well, it doesn't seem to have slowed him down. He actually looks now like he may be gaining on Jean.
Jean is a fairly wily competitor as well, you know. He may be watching where the gator is positioned. This is a qualifying race for Jean. I'm sure he can go faster than this.
Well, I don't think he'll waste his equipment. I think he's probably running it as hard as necessary and no harder. But, you know, it'll be interesting. Brian's certainly chasing him hard. You know, the other thing about Brian is I suspect after he replaces that cowling, he will pretty much have built a new boat this year.
Oh, absolutely. Jean Theoret, mind you, is in a commanding lead right now. Looking at his mirrors, I'm sure he expects to see Brian O'Connor sneaking around there somewhere.
Well, that's another problem with salt water, especially with a canopy, because the salt mist forms a haze over the canopy, and sometimes it makes it difficult to see. But it looks like Brian's not having a problem here.
No, Jean Theoret is definitely slowing down, and for what reason, I'm not sure.
Well, we've seen all these boats break on regular occasions, and we'll just have to hope that he gets through this heat.
We also have the Summit boat coming off course right now. There's something wrong with him.
Yeah, he pulled across right. We'll have to see how these guys negotiate his wake. There's a pretty...
Take a look at this. The gator is pulling up on Jean in the casino boat.
Well, this is a big change. Brian's driving this race like the final. He definitely wants to win this heat.
And without a cowling, there are definitely some hydrodynamic or aerodynamic losses here.
Well, it doesn't really slow the boat down much, but it makes it, again, more susceptible to the saltwater spray. There's nothing there to protect the ignition system.
He's throwing up a heck of a rooster.
Well, I think he's got his foot right to the floor. I mean, he's making maximum effort to pass Jean here.
Once again, Jean does not have to win this heat. He will still qualify for the final race, but the gator is definitely pushing him.
Well, he's picking up, again, valuable time, as we see in all these races, by being on the inside lane.
One lap to go. Jean Theoret leads now, looking over his shoulder, making sure the gator isn't sneaking up once again. He got pretty close.
Well, we'll just have to see if both these boats can survive the saltwater problems.
They go through the turns. Jean Theoret sets in. You know, this seems to be a fairly easy drive for him today. Actually, the gator, although he's really pushing hard, he's certainly not bent out of shape.
Brian's being pretty brave there, driving right through the spray.
Jean Blanchette goes down in the water. There's another competitor out. There's not too many boats going to finish this race. But you know, Jean Theoret does hang on for the win in the Casino de Montreal boat, followed closely by Brian O'Connor driving the gator. They both had a great race out there. Brian pushed it right up until the end. but this gives them both a seat in the final race. As we get ready to start the Grand Prix, we see a shot of Fred Roto's boat. Fred Roto sadly was killed in a work-related accident on July 20th, Jamie.
Mark, Fred will be sorely missed by all the competitors.
And the reason his boat was on the course right now was because Jimmy King was going to try and qualify that boat this weekend. But right now we have the start of the race. Jean Theoret takes a lead.
That was a classic flying start.
Boy, was he ever flying in the casino boat. Right now, closely behind is Gaetan Latour.
We've got Gaetan Latour in there. Todd Roche seems to be moving up pretty well. Alain Blanchette, it's going to be an interesting heat.
Both Gaetan Latour and Todd Roche are rookies this year as well.
Yeah, they've done pretty well here, but nobody seems to be doing nearly as well as Jean Theoret. He's got a pretty commanding lead once again.
The Export A boat is running to the side right now. He sounds like he's experienced some electrical problems. Something's going off and on there.
They've had saltwater problems all weekend, and obviously they haven't solved the problem.
Alain Blanchette is also back in the pack. He seems to be running fairly well.
Well, Todd Roche seems to have second cleared up pretty well, but Gaetan Latour is on the inside there, and he may be able to gain on him in this tight corner.
Down the stretch, we have the Casino de Montreal boat driven by Jean Theoret, and there he is kicking up a heck of a rooster tail, and he's flying fairly low. He's not really pushing quite as fast as he normally does.
No, but he's driving around the inside of the course again, making a shorter course, saving a lot of time entering the corner, and using as much room as he can exiting the corner. That makes it more difficult for the people behind him.
Well, that chops up the water. It also throws a lot of spray back. He's not giving anybody any holes.
And he's using the wings to his advantage. He's able to fly the boat over this rougher water, which saves on the equipment.
Definitely, and there goes the Export A boat. He is not running very well.
No, he's about to be lapped by Todd Roche here. I can see that coming in this corner.
Hard to see, but Todd's boat is sponsored by Lane Automotive.
There's Francois struggling around another corner, definitely losing on the engine. Looks like Todd is about to pass him right now.
Jean Theoret's boat lifted a little bit coming out of the corner, laid it down flat, sets up, turns the boat, appears to be handling this whole crowd pretty well.
Yeah, he's coming up again to lap one of the slower boats, but he's got a distinct advantage over everybody in this field.
He sure does. You know, it's a distinct advantage. He seems to enjoy almost every race this year. Well, that's it, Jamie. He's won the race.
That's right. Todd Roche is going to come by for a pretty strong second. That's his best showing this year.
A lot of boats struggled out there today, Jamie. Fortunately, the casino boat didn't. I don't think he did very much in order to make sure that he would win today. All he did was change a blower belt prior to the final as a precautionary measure.
Well, it seems as though if he's running at the end of the race, then it makes everybody else look like they were struggling. Nobody seems to be even close to him this year as far as top speed, lap speed, everything.
And it's Jean Theoret that takes a checkered flag once again in the Super 7 Lotto boat. The Super Lotto 7 boat. The rookie title right now. Alain Blanchette finishes his best fourth place finish of the year. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, well, how long? Hello, everyone. I'm Mark Rotharmel, and we're here in Summerside, Prince Edward Island for the 5th race of the 1994 Export A Hydroplane Racing Series. Being the penultimate race of the championship, a number of teams are counting on good results here today. And certainly Francois has to run fast today. Jean Theoret's running so fast now, 124 miles an hour. That basically takes away Pierre Lavigne's world record that he set back in Ville-Marie at 121.
Well, Mark, that's right, but I think Mike Webber has the potential to win if he can keep the engine together. He's very fast.
Fast, but he hasn't finished a final since the second race of the season. Pierre Lavigne, always quick. Of course, he's been experiencing some saltwater problems here in Summerside.
Well, he has saltwater problems, and he still, I think, has a steering problem with that hydraulic setup he has in the boat.
Jean Theoret comes into Summerside with the World Series title in his pocket. He won it in Cocan, and of course, he wants to win the Drivers' Championship here, which he has a great chance of winning here today in Summerside. And the drivers are positioned, Jamie?
Looks like Mike Webber on the inside, Francois Cardinal just outside of him. Francois is off to a phenomenal start here.
He sure is, and he's flying into that first turn. This course is more or less set up like a big round ball. Big wide corners, not really long straightaways, but overall it's very, very fast.
It's certainly a fast course, especially with the salt water, but at the moment Francois seems to be dominating. He had great acceleration on that start, and he's pulled away handily.
Total control right now. Francois seems to be running it very flat on the water. He doesn't seem to be lifting at all. He's going around the corner like there's nothing in his way out there.
Well, he had some problems early in the season with a faulty actuator that drives the wings, and now that problem's been cured, he's running a lot faster, and the boat looks a lot more stable.
And Guy Verdun is on the outside of the course. He's also running pretty quick.
That's right, Mark. He's picked up a lot of speed here. I don't know something's happened to Mike Weber. He's dropped back.
Pierre Lavigne seems to also be dropping back. I don't know what's happening with Pierre. Maybe those saltwater gremlins are after him again.
Yeah, Pierre's about almost a half a lap back already in this race, so he's got no chance.
Yeah, he's far too quick a driver to be running slow and in the back of the pack, so something is plaguing him.
Well, again, Francois is running consistent laps. If we watch the boat go around the corner here, nice and smooth, no bobbles, it looks perfect.
Sure does. Of course, that's one of the boats you build, so obviously it's in the design here.
Well, the driver's doing a great job here. As I say, he's got the right attitude with the boat, and it takes some talent to control those canard wings.
Francois Cardinal heads down the straight and into the turn.
Well, again, we can't say enough about Guy Verdun. He's had a tough early season, but for a guy in only his second full season in Grand Prix, he's doing a great job, and I'm happy to see him at least successfully completing a few of the laps here.
And Mike Weber's running pretty quick right now as well. He's certainly picked up the pace. Maybe he had some problems at the early start of the race.
Yeah, Mike's engine sounds good now, but he slowed down substantially earlier. You know, sometimes these engines will get wet after a little bit of heat builds in the motor. It'll cook the moisture off them, and the engine will pick up the lost cylinders, and that may be what's happened to him, but I'm afraid he's so far back that there's no way he's going to get into a decent finishing position here. Francois
certainly will have one if he continues the way he's running right now, flat, in control, all the way around the course.
Just looking at his speeds, Mark, they're substantially down from the qualifying record set by Jean Theoret. He's running about 105, 106 miles an hour. Big difference there.
Well, yeah, once again, the qualifying times, they're calculated on a one-lap run. You know, in actual racing, in qualifying races, you know, the speed averages drop down substantially. I think Jean Theoret's average run is about 114 miles an hour here in Summerside. So, you know, that's 10 miles an hour off his qualifying pace. But whatever the speed, that gives Francois the win. He crosses the finish line in first place. Obviously, he'll be happy, and that takes him into the final race of the day.
Yeah, and I think that'll put Guy Verdun in the final, too.
Good fast boats. You want a big field of fast qualifiers out there. Here comes Francois back to his trailer. Obviously, his crew will be fairly happy to see that he is qualified now and seated.
The crews now will be going back and trying to clean all the salt out of the systems in these boats before the final.
How do they do that? Do they take a toothbrush, Jamie?
Toothbrush and fresh water, and that's really about it.
Francois Cardinal wins in the Export A boat. Guy Verdun follows in second with a great run. Mike Weber finishes in third in Summit and qualifies for the final race of the day. One more qualifying race to go. Jean Theoret on the inside.
Wow, another perfect start right on the clock.
You bet. And that's Tommy Baker on the outside. Tommy's running pretty quick.
Yeah, Tommy's on the outside. The Blanchette brothers are following behind. It looks like Jean Theoret's going to walk away with this one. You know, based on his qualifying speed, it'd be tough to see anybody compete with him at the moment.
I don't think anybody can slow him down. We have some problems, though, obviously, with Tommy Baker's boat. He has been experiencing some steering linkage problems all weekend long. I know he was working feverishly trying to get it sorted out.
Well, you know, Tommy, the other thing that Tommy struggled with this season is visibility out of his cockpit. He has a tough time seeing out of the front of the canopy, and this salt water is just going to aggravate that problem.
I talked to Tom Baker before the start of this race, and he thinks the steering problem is corrected, but obviously he would have a confidence problem. If there's something goes wrong on the course in racing, I mean, the results could be catastrophic.
Well, yeah, I think it takes away your concentration from, you know, just trying to be competitive if you're worried about mechanical failure in the boat.
Yeah, being worried is obviously one of the biggest problems, obviously, to slow a driver down. But Jean Theoret certainly isn't slowing down right now. He's got his foot to the pedal.
Just looking at the times, Mark, both of these guys are running faster than Francois Cardinal did in the last heat. Only by a couple of miles an hour, but they're still running pretty hard.
Jean Theoret floats it around the course. He can keep wide. He doesn't have to hang in real tight. He doesn't have to take any risks right now. All he has to do is finish.
You can see the big difference in performance. These guys are both about a half a lap ahead of the Blanchette brothers.
The water is getting lumpy again. Once again, every time these boats start to churn up the water in the corners, I mean, they have to fight the wheel.
Yeah, it's surprising, even with 4 boats in the heat, the skid fin on the left side of the boat, the thing that keeps the boat from sliding in the corner and puts up that big plume of water in the turns, really rips a hole in the water. And as the water collapses back into that hole, it bounces back up and makes a big wake behind it.
Tom Baker is not letting off. He's certainly trying to chase down Jean Theoret. Tom's a pretty smart driver, though. He knows how much speed Theoret probably has here.
Well, Tom's exceptionally aggressive in the corners. I mean, it looks to me like he's got his foot to the floor all the way around these turns, and they're big turns, so he's able to do that safely.
Whoa, is he really running on the ragged edge right now? He does have his confidence back in that steering.
Yeah, he's definitely full throttle around the corner. You can see the left sponson carried almost a foot off the water with just the tip of the skid fin keeping the boat from sliding in the turn.
Baker is actually picking up about a second a lap here, so he is really running out there. Jean Theoret running consistently, probably just wants to finish the race in first place.
Well, we've seen him slow down a little bit in the latter laps of some of these heats because he's not feeling that well, and I think his energy level is down.
Well, maybe this will give him a boost. He crosses the finish line in first place in the final qualifying heat of the day. That takes him right into the final. Obviously, he's the man to beat.
That's right. Tom Baker may get a charge at the end, but it wasn't enough. A little bit too late.
Well, Jean Theoret continues in his winning ways. He once again crosses the finish line in first place overall. He's doing great this weekend. He's done great all summer. Tom Baker finishes in Summit. Alain Blanchette wraps it up in third place in the Express boat. And we'll have a great six-boat final coming up with O'Connor, Cardinal, Weber, and Baker all taking their shots at Jean Theoret. And we're back in Summerside for the final race of the day. Jamie?
Well, this one, it's going to be essential for Francois Cardinal to be in a good position to win. He's got to do it to maintain any chance of winning the points title.
Jean Theoret, Francois Cardinal going down side by side. Jean Theoret in lane number 2 goes into the first turn, and is he loose, Jamie?
Boy, he really had it aired out going down that straightaway. It looks like Brian O'Connor on the outside and Francois somewhere in the spray in the inside.
All you see is a wall of water right now, but it looks like Jean Theoret is stretching out his lead. Francois has dropped back.
Another one of Jean's classic starts, and he's running away from the field again.
Basically, he doesn't give very much room in that first turn. Francois only has a limited amount of space, probably about the width of his boat to get through. If he doesn't make it, Jean walks away with it.
Yeah, I imagine he came out of that one pretty damp. Brian O'Connor's challenging Francois. Francois is going to have to get that thing in gear here, or he's going to be in serious trouble in the points situation.
Jean Theoret is letting it all air out right now. He knows Francois is on his hip. He wants to win that final championship. He wants 3 crowns. What's happened here? Jean Theoret just went to the inside of the course.
He must have had some sort of mechanical problem there, because otherwise there's no way he'd be out of the race this
And the
early.
gator follows him. Francois Cardinal right on the inside of, looks like Brian O'Connor.
Somehow Brian was able to get by Francois, pulling him down the straightaway here. Francois, I think, ran into some difficulty. He had to cross Jean Theoret's wake, and that may have caused some difficulty in that last turn.
Not only did Francois have to cross his wake, he also went to the inside of the course. He missed a buoy, but it looked like Jean Theoret more or less made him do that. I guess Jean Theoret pulled off the course in a bad position, and Francois looked like he swerved to avoid him.
Well, it looked like he had no choice on that. We'll have to see what the officials decide when we get to the end of this race.
And Francois can't worry about that right now. He has to concentrate on driving and winning this race now.
Well, he seems to have pulled away from Brian O'Connor, but they're facing lap traffic already, and this could change the complexion of the race.
This is only a 4-lap final. I mean, there's not a lot of time to make up some distance here.
Well, you can really see the speed differential between some of the boats. Some of the guys are really struggling out there today. That's Mike Weber. You see Francois ducking inside him and going around the corner.
The Export A boat has it all aired out right now. He wants to finish this final. He knows with Jean Theoret out of the race, he has a chance to pull some valuable points that might still lead him to the Export A championship.
Well, look at that. Tom Baker's really smoking now. He's passed Brian O'Connor. He's giving chase to Francois Cardinal.
Well, he doesn't have much time. Francois does cross the finish line first. Tom Baker on his hip. And that's Mike Weber a lap down right now. And we've just been informed that Francois Cardinal was penalized a lap for missing a marker buoy. That gives Tom Baker driving the Summit the win for the weekend. Brian O'Connor finishes in second place driving Gator. Francois Cardinal was fast enough to stay in third place, and he lapped Mike Weber in fourth. And now that Jean Theoret has 2 championship titles safely under his belt, he, along with the entire circuit, heads west to Hamilton, Ontario for the final race of the 1994 Export A Hydroplane Racing Series. We hope you'll join us next week for more great racing. I'm Mark Rotharmel, and for Jamie Auld, thanks for watching. We'll see you next week. Welcome, everyone, to Hamilton, Ontario for the final race of the 1994 Export A Hydroplane Racing Series. I'm Mark Rotharmel. This is my partner, Jamie Auld. And Jamie, already qualifying has been exciting.
That's right, Mark. Jean Theoret wrapped up the championship by winning his heat.
Jean's basically dominated all season long, and of course there's a lot of other drivers out there that want to end on a high note, but it could be difficult.
That's right. It's a very tight course. The wind conditions here could make it a very rough race.
So they're lining her up right now. Francois Cardinal has the inside track. He's hot. He has to win this race, basically, in order to get seated for the final. He and Jean Theoret are way over. I can't believe that. They have jumped the gun.
I think Francois paid too much attention to what Jean was doing, and I'm sure they both jumped the gun.
Oh, they were way over, seconds over. I can't believe that happened.
Well,
you know, Jean Theoret is already seated for the final. All he had to do basically was go out and run around the course. He may have deliberately sucked Francois over the line.
Well, it certainly looked like that. The other thing we've got to consider is this is a very short course. The guys have no idea how to make a proper timing run. There just isn't any room. They're coming off the turn right onto the start.
Well, Francois doesn't know now whether he's leading or he's been disqualified. He'll know he's close, though.
Well, I don't think he'll let up just in case it was a legal start. It's still a possibility.
Well, it's not a possibility, really. There's no chance. He was way over the line. So was Jean Theoret. This leaves Gaetan Latour obviously in great shape out there.
Well, it looks to me as though Jean probably has a pretty good idea because he's slowed down, and we never see him do that unless there's a mechanical problem. He's letting Gaetan go and probably saving his equipment for the final.
Absolutely, and Francois Cardinal continues to blast around the course. I guess he has no other choice, Jamie.
Well, that's right. You know, one of the things I notice here, Mark, is with this short course, the waves it's running in this heat, it's starting to look like the ocean already in the turn.
Well, it's windy out here as well. You could see earlier that the wind was starting to pick up, and now it's really blowing. There's Gaetan Latour. He's having a great day out there.
You know, he's staying awfully close to the Export A, which is kind of a surprise. You know, normally Gaetan's boat just doesn't have the power that the Export A has, but he's doing a great job this heat.
He sure is. Jean Theoret on the inside, he seems to have so much more acceleration, though. I guess if he was really trying hard, he could probably blow right by Gaetan.
Well, that's what we'd expect. Well, I guess he has here.
Yeah, this is interesting. It just shows you, the difference in power between the boats out there. Jean hangs back going down the straightaway. He takes it easy. He doesn't want to get into any trouble out there. Gaetan, meanwhile, is obviously thinking, well, I've got a shot at winning this race. I'm going to go for it.
Well, Gaetan's new to his boat and new to the class, and he's still not probably totally comfortable with the boat. Jean's had several years in this same boat, and he's a master at driving it.
Well, Gaetan has not won a race all season long. It looks like if he just hangs in there, that's what he'll do here.
Yeah, it's official now. Both the Export A and the Super 7 boat have been given a 1-minute penalty for jumping the gun.
Well, this means that the Export A boat driven by Francois Cardinal, he's done for the day. He doesn't make it to the final race. That's his season. It's over.
That's right, Mark. But Gaetan Latour wins this heat, and Alain Blanchette is going to come up in second.
Well, does he feel good? Gaetan Latour in PC Racing wins his first heat of the 1994 season. And Alain Blanchette comes in second place, his best result so far this year. Francois Cardinal finishes in third, but it was penalized a lap and obviously is out of it for the final. Once again, we'll be back with more racing here on TSN. And we're back in Hamilton to watch the second group of qualifiers in Grand Prix.
That's right, Mark. We've got a couple of changes in this heat. We've got Jimmy King is driving Pierre Lavigne's boat. They're trying to see if they can straighten out the steering problem. Mark Burghardt has purchased a Grand Prix boat. He's running here. Normally we only see him in the 5-liter class.
And they're rounding the marks, getting ready for the start, coming up on the clock. And it's a great start for the Gator.
Yeah, well, that was the only great start. The rest of the guys are lagging behind it. Jimmy King's obviously, I think on restriction, he's staying on the outside, at least for this first lap.
That's it. That's one of those points that I always find some difficulty with. Jimmy King, a veteran Grand Prix driver, has won basically every championship there is going, but he gets in somebody else's boat and he's on restriction. He has to learn how to drive or stay on the outside all over again?
Well, it's a safety rule that's been put in place just to let the driver get familiarized with the boat, because all these boats have their little quirks as far as handling, and they're trying to avoid a situation where maybe he might be on the inside, the boat not turn when he expected and cause a crash with the other drivers.
Jimmy King hasn't had a great season this year.
Well, they've had a tough time with Roger Mahan's boat. They've had a lot of teething problems this season, and I think Jimmy's pretty frustrated about it.
Right now, the Gator is stretching out his lead, and he has that computer-aided device to help him through the season.
Well, that's a nice thing. When Brian comes in from this heat, he can look at the data, analyze the situation. If he has to make any changes, he'll know what he has to do to the engine to make it perform better, although it seems to be working awfully well this heat.
It certainly is, and that guarantees him a spot in the final as long as he can finish the race.
Yeah, and he seems to be maintaining a pretty steady lead over Claude Bergeron. I'm kind of surprised to see Claude's not running harder in this heat, but he may have some engine problems. The other thing we've seen at this race is that the direct drive boats, of which Brian O'Connor is driving one of them at the moment, seem to be more on par with the gearbox boats.
This is a great equalizer. This type of course, which is kind of short and round, you know, it doesn't give a whole lot of room for the bigger horse-powered boats. Of course, the boats with the gearboxes to stretch out their leads on the straightaway. It gives them a chance to catch up and basically balance out the field.
Well, it could make for an interesting situation in the final.
The Gator continues to stretch out his lead, followed by Claude Bergeron.
And we've got Jimmy King behind him. You know, Jimmy may be able to make it to the final here because the times are pretty reasonable from this heat.
Well, because of the size of the course, it's pretty small. They're going to limit the field to 7 boats.
You know, Mark, I don't think I'd want to drive in a 7-boat field on this course. I really think that's too many, but it'll certainly make it exciting.
Well, you know, once again, the start will be critical. Get yourself spaced out. Get out there in front first and go for it, because you don't have a long entry into the first turn.
That's right, Mark. It's a very tight first turn also.
Well, that's it. The Gator does win this heat. That guarantees him a seat in the final. It's going to be a pretty fast crowd out there.
It'll be interesting to see who drives Claude Bergeron's boat, because he's sharing driving duties with Guy Verdun this weekend.
Guy Verdun has lent Claude Bergeron his engines. They're both running very fast. But Brian O'Connor wins this one. Claude Bergeron is second, Jimmy King in third, and Mark Burkhart in 4th place overall. And we're down to the final moments of the 1994 Export A Grand Prix season. And with the exception of Francois Cardinal, who did not make it to the final heat, we have a very fast field of 7 boats.
That's right. We've got some people in here that are looking for their first win in Grand Prix racing. We've got Gaetan Latour, of course.
And Gaetan surprised everybody by winning a qualifying race here in Hamilton.
Well, that's right. And on this short course, he has a real good chance with the boat he's driving now.
But he has to compete with this man, Jean Theoret, who has had his own way all year long. He's won the Triple Crown of boat racing, the Drivers' Championship, the World Championship, and the Export A Championship today.
He's never missed a start yet.
Guy Verdun is now driving Claude Bergeron's boat. This is a change.
Well, it's going to take him maybe a little time to adjust. I don't think he has enough time today to adjust to the driving style necessary.
And here we go. Weber has snatched the inside away from Jean Theoret.
Jean Theoret's right there. Tommy Baker outside of him.
This is wild. Look at those boats.
Mike Weber made a great start. Jean Theoret's right there with him, but not quite as fast as we've
Take a look at the Gator on the outside of the course. There he is. Mike Weber holds the inside track. Jean Theoret on the outside. Going down the back stretch. It's going to be a wild race. There he goes. Jean Theoret comes around the course. Oh, and
Mike Weber either went through his wrist or tail or had his lane closed off. He was forced to go through the tail. Looks like he's down.
Either way, Jean Theoret has a clear lane in front of him, and he's having trouble in the corner.
Boy, that's really rough in that corner. All the wakes left from the start. Tommy Baker made a big gain there when Mike Weber went down.
Wow, Tommy Baker almost hit Weber actually on the straightaway. When something like that happens, when there's a lot of water and spray, boy, it gets really critical.
Well, it's tough to see. You know, I think Tommy's making a wise move here. He's moving on the outside of the course, and there's cleaner water out there. He's able to go a little bit faster.
Jean Theoret has the pedal down right now, and he's stretching out the lead.
You know, we're having a good race for 3rd place, too. We've got Guy Verdun back there, and we got Gaetan Latour.
And look out, Jean Theoret, because Baker is running fast. He's picking up seconds every lap here.
You know, I think Jean may have had the wind knocked out of him. He hit pretty hard in that last turn, and he's definitely slowed down.
He's driving cautiously.
Oh, Tommy Baker's partially hooked the boat right behind Jean.
Oh, is he on the edge?
He's still going, though. But look at this. Guy Verdun's pulling up on him on the inside.
Wow, now it's Guy Verdun, Baker, and Theoret all going for the lead. This is going to be exciting.
It's a bad corner coming up. We're going to have to see if Verdun can make it through it. He may have to pedal the boat.
But watch Baker. He is really pressing. He knows what victory tastes like. He did it in Summerside. He wants to do it again today.
Well, you're probably right, Mark, but I suspect Guy Verdun, not having ever won a Grand Prix, feels he's in a position where he might be able to do it today.
There's a lot of water out there right now. All these boats are charging hard.
Well, this is such a tight course that we can see that he's approaching one of the slower boats now. This may slow Jean up. It makes it difficult sometimes. You have to make a decision which side of the boat to go on. Tommy Baker's definitely moving up on the outside.
Verdun is on the inside, but obviously Jean Theoret is not going to let him take away that line.
Well, Baker made a lot of time going into that corner. He's just outside of Jean. This last corner coming up is going to make
that.
Look at that.
Baker is side by side with Jean Theoret going down the backstretch. 1 lap to go. Baker on the outside, Theoret on the inside. Theoret has the power. He accelerates into the turn.
They passed a slower boat. They passed the Lamblachette. They're going around this last corner. Oh, it looks like Jean kind of hooked the boat a little bit.
Take a look at Tommy Baker. He is wide on the outside. Does he have enough time? I don't know. Oh, Jean Theoret seems to be slowing down. Baker right at the finish line. I can't tell who won.
Mark, we're going to have to wait and look at the tape. I've got no idea. That's probably the closest finish I've ever seen.
I've never seen a closer finish in Grand Prix history. This is unbelievable. Baker came from the outside after being way back in third place, passed a number of boats, got by Weber, and bang, he was right on Theoret's hip the whole race, and there he was right at the finish line.
Boy, he made a phenomenal charge, never let up. He didn't have a great start. They kept on plugging away, and we see Guy Verdun, he had a great third place finish there.
A fabulous race, and here we see the replay. Jean Theoret on the inside, Baker on the outside. Jean setting up for the turn.
You see them lapping the slower boat of Alain Blanchette. Like here, Jean is in the lead.
Baker holds the pedal down through this turn.
Here, Baker's back a couple of boat lengths, and then Jean hooks the boat and hits another roller and pops him in the air.
Looks like he's lost some momentum there.
Yeah, and Baker's still steaming full speed around the outside.
Jean has his foot flat to the floor. He might be operating the wing. I don't know. He doesn't have a lot of space.
Mark, if you look at Jean's rooster tail, it's very chopped up. He can't get the propeller into solid water to get the acceleration.
And Baker literally just blasts right by him at the finish line. Hundredths of a second separated these two drivers.
It looked to me like maybe a distance of 4 inches, maybe 6 inches. I mean, really close. Probably the closest finish in Grand Prix history.
I've never seen a closer race. This is unbelievable. So what a day for Tommy Baker driving this Summit. He just edged out Jean Theoret to take the win, and what a win it was. Guy Verdun finishes in third place, a great race, and Gaetan Latour finishes up in fourth place in PC Racing. So what a year it was for the Lotto Super 7 casino boat driven by Jean Theoret. 1,086 points, way ahead of everybody else in the field. And Export A comes in second, but still won the Nationals. The Gator in third, and Gaetan ends up winning the Rookie of the Year honors in Grand Prix. Overall, it's been a fast and exciting summer with several new boats, drivers, and of course sponsors entering the sport. So that's it for hydroplane racing in 1994. I'm Mark Rotharmel with Jamie Auld. Thanks for joining us this season, and we hope you'll join us again in 1995.